from right here in Washington, D.C., I'm lucky to introduce to you a band that really can get the party going. Sub Radio has recently been featured on Billboard.com. After releasing their 2020 record, Thoughts, Lights, Colors, and Sound, they embarked on a virtual Reddit tour that reached over 4 million viewers. This band has released banger after bop after banger, and I'm super excited to chat with them. I'm joined today by Sub Radio featuring Matt, Adam, and Michael. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Hello.
How was that intro? Did it fit the bill? Did I miss anything?
Oh, it seemed great. That was perfect.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
So just kind of get things started. What was the first thing you guys listened to today?
Wow. Good question.
Ooh.
I've become a podcast person in the last 6 months. And so I have my little regimen of podcasts that I download. I'm currently listening to a podcast called The Sporkful, which is about food. And the guy set out to make a new pasta shape and have it produced and sell it in stores. And I'm at the final episode where he gets his pasta shape produced. It's very cool. What's the shape?
That's incredible.
It's imagine a little tiny lasagna, but the ridges are on top. It's shaped like a table almost, and then it's curved over so it looks like a comma.
I feel like that's good for sauce capture.
Yeah.
It's excellent sauceability, yeah.
So can I buy
But that's the
that
first
in
thing that I
stores?
listen to. You can order it from a boutique place in Brooklyn. That's the only place that they sell it now.
That's fascinating.
Wow. That's awesome. I want to try it.
You actually just jogged my memory. I forgot. I was also listening to a podcast this morning. I started to listen to a podcast called And the Writer Is with this guy, Ross Golan. And I was listening to Ryan Tedder's story on how he became a songwriter and what it's like writing with some of the bigger names and his story and his approach. So I've been doing that while I go on nature walks because, people are still stuck inside. So that was the first thing that I listened to.
That's awesome. Ryan Tedder is an enigma to me, and he is so much larger than anybody thinks he is. And everybody I've interacted with, and it amazes me.
Yeah, he's written everything. It's crazy.
Right. What about you, Michael?
I have been playing. So I listened for the first time. I finally got around to listening to the new Night Game album, and his song Companion. That song came on. And then I played it again, and then I played it again, and I played it again. And I must have listened to that song at this point probably 12, 14 times already, just today. It's with Elle King as a feature singer, and oh my goodness, that song is just amazing. Companion by the Night Game. Listen to that song and his new album. It's super good.
What type of music is it?
It's indie pop. It's very 1975-esque. One of the other guys in Subradio who's not here, his name's John. He described it as if the 1975 were American, and I think that's a good description.
That's interesting. I'm a big 1975 fan, so I'll definitely have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Cool. It is my fun fact about the Night Game. It's not my fun fact. It's the fun fact is that it's the lead singer. It's the former lead singer of Boys Like Girls. This is his project now.
Really?
Yeah, that was my face.
Yeah.
Too.
Listen, I was a big Boys Like Girls fan. I was peak that type of emo. I don't even know what type of emo it was, but it was not the hardcore emo. It was the pop emo.
No,
So
yes.
the Somerset.
Me too. That's shopping mall emo. Yeah.
And it sounds...
Yeah, we were all there.
It sounds nothing like that also.
I mean, I'm a little upset to hear that, but if they're an American version of the 1975, I'm sold for sure. So I like to talk about how I found you guys because I think that's important for you guys to know what's working, what's not working, whatever that helps you with. So I found you guys on TikTok, actually.
No way.
Yeah. So I like to scroll through a lot of music recommendation or stuff like that, and I've ended up on DC TikTok. And when I was scrolling through DC TikTok, I found I don't remember which one it was, to be honest, but it was something about you guys were being a band from DC. And of course that piques my interest because it's local to me. And first of all, you guys are indie pop, which isn't typically a DC band thing. by any means. So I was very excited to hear that. And that's how I found you guys. So it's very interesting.
You may be the first
that's
person
so cool.
who's ever told us they found us on TikTok.
Yeah.
Hopefully the first of many.
I've ever heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so after like looking more into you guys about the whole Reddit thing, like that, I'm just like, well, I'm an idiot for finding them on TikTok and not Reddit. And then this whole like realm of live stream stuff on there, like I'm upset that it's taken me this long.
Man,
It would have been surprising for you to stumble on us like. If you were looking for music and you found us on Reddit, because that's just not, I don't think that's like typically how people are doing it. It's like they're on Reddit because they're on Reddit, and then there's music playing. They're like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's not typically like a section of Reddit I think anyone's aware of. So almost every time like someone who's texted us, like who knows us, they've seen us on Reddit, it's just been because they were scrolling, and then like this video just pops up on their homepage, and they're like, I know that guy.
It's the whole music discovery thing in the last year or so has really been like revolutionized, and I appreciate it a ton because I'm always looking, and the fact that TikTok has become such a big thing, and like, you know, Reddit for you guys for a prime example. So I'm really happy that I found you guys though, because I really dig it. The first song I listened to was Disco, and let me tell you, I love Walk the Moon. And the second I heard the first couple chords, I was like, oh, hell yeah, like, this is it.
Let's go.
So I want to talk about, like, you guys being from DC. I, like, kind of touched upon it earlier. DC is not known for indie pop at all. And how you guys are, first of all, let's back it up even before this. You guys are all friends and childhood friends, right, from the DC area. How did that even come together? Like, you know, were you 7 and you were like, all right, we're going to start a band. You take lessons here, I'll take lessons here. Or was it kind of like a slow conglomerate?
It actually happened pretty quick. It was mostly just like me and the other guitarist, John, were like, hey, let's take guitar in 7th grade because we don't want to take band. That's boring. And, you know, Fall Out Boy was like hot at the time, and we wanted to learn how to play those songs. And then after that, we were just like, hey, let's start a band. That would be fun. That's kind of it. And then we just, like, you know, asked our friends to be in a band with us, and that's how the band started. We sounded a lot different back then, kind of like pop punk with, like, acoustic guitar. And then in 2016, we reformed under a different name, and then, yeah, started playing more of the style that we would call, and a lot of people would call, indie pop.
That's awesome. So... And like I started to ask before, but indie pop is not from DC, like not the thing. It's go-go, it's rappers, and it's like punk scene, especially with like the 930 Club and Black Hat and stuff like that. Like, how did that kind of like change the way you guys like looked at it? Because it's not as much support from the community. I mean, I don't want to say support, but you know, it's not as much, you know, to go off of.
Yeah, it's definitely made booking shows harder in the area. That's sort of been the big the big influence of the scene on us, is that we kind of have to stretch to make bills with us that make sense, that are also local. So that's been kind of frustrating, and we have our couple of artists that we know and like, and you know, if only Shade had stayed smaller, then we could have just played with them, but they are now conquering the world. But it's like you said, I mean, I think like we kind of played our own stuff because that's what we listen to, and I don't know why even more people in this area aren't listening to and making that kind of music. Maybe it's just the kind of people that choose to live here or grow up here, but it's a little lonely. But we've created an artist network of folks who are not from here that is still, I think, pretty like strong and fun and robust. So it's been interesting.
There was also, for me, there was like a pretty defining moment that led to our shift in sound, and I would say that was hearing Love Tap by Small Pools. That album kind of like changed the way that we thought about what like an alt rock band could sound like, and then that kind of
oh my god
weaved us into writing indie pop. Is listening to that band, listening to Coin, listening to Walk the Moon, and hearing all of those bands in there. Yeah, that's another one. That entire album, really. I still remember hearing Quesadilla for the first time, being like, "Holy crap, what is this?" being obsessed with all of that. And then of course Talk Too Much came out, not too long after that. And that is just another classic for, the indie pop genre.
Yeah, and that was right when Paramore like made the switch from like kind of hardcore like rock to like way more dancey indie pop. And yeah, we kind of I'm like you, like I used to listen to like, emo kid. But yeah, I remember specifically, I can't remember that. What was the song we covered by Paramore?
We did Ain't It
The
Fun like one time.
Ain't It Fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was around that time, or it was a little before. But we wrote specifically there were some drum parts that Paramore had come out with, and I was like, wow, those are like really dancey and really cool, and like I don't play anything like that. I should play stuff like that. And yeah, and we all kind of like started moving in that direction. But I remember that was a big one for me personally.
Yeah, we got rid of the double kick pedal. We got different guitar tones. Yeah,
we got rid of the acoustic guitars.
Yeah,
cleaned up all the guitar tones so they weren't so dirty. Added synths on synths on synths. We were obsessed with buying synths for a while. We were like, we need synths everywhere.
Yeah. I also did want to add, just briefly, you asked about how the band formed. Matt was being a little bit modest. He's basically like the Nick Fury of sub radio. Like he like assembled the Avengers. Matt was really like the architect in the early days. He like was like, oh, this guy like plays this, and then like this guy plays this, and like what if we had like this guy come and play this? And so he really was the pioneer in like getting the group together.
I knew a bunch of people who played things, and we were kind of friends, and then we became good friends after a while of playing music together.
Yeah.
It was just like you collecting all the Infinity Stones, and it was just like done from there.
Pretty much.
Now, if only we could make reality wherever we wanted it to be.
So, was switching to more of the indie pop, alt pop stuff, was that ever a point of, argument or anything, or was it all kind of a general consensus? Everybody was on board?
The way that we do things, it was probably a point of argument at some point. We've been close since we were in like 7th or 8th grade, and so I think it's sort of like a brother relationship in that everyone has very strong opinions, and we all want the best thing for the band. And so at some point we were probably like, no, that's dumb. I want to keep the acoustic. But I think mostly it's just like you write songs that call for a certain sound, and then the sound creates itself. And we've been doing that more intentionally over the last few years, but it really started with the first album, where we sort of collected the stuff that we had written earlier that still felt like it made sense with that sound, and then wrote some new stuff to go with it. And we were like, now this is sub radio.
I think it also partially came from just like the writing method being more standardized the way that it is now. So I would just kind of like bring demos, and Adam would bring demos, and they just kind of sounded a certain way. And also definitely like producer choice had a lot to do with it too. So our first album was produced by a friend of ours, or engineered, and our second EP, and they had like very defining sounds. And then we very much found that we were writing towards this indie pop style, and then we specifically went out to find a guy who did that. So that's when we did Dog Years in 2019 with this guy Dylan Bald, who's in a band called Floor, and super ridiculously talented guy, and so fun to work with and learn from. But yeah, I would say like the writing process became a lot more standardized during that time, where it was just like Adam would bring a song, I would bring a song, we would sit down there and like work out the parts. And tempos changed too. Like we weren't really writing songs at like 126 BPM like with dance beats, and like that will change your sound a lot just by having a higher tempo and a dance beat. You're halfway to indie pop as it is. You throw in a synth and like a high vocal and you're basically there. Like
you guys wear a lot of different hats. You guys were almost fully independent, correct? Up until like maybe a few months ago, you guys pulled on an agent, right?
Yeah, so we were completely independent as far as like, I mean, we still are as far as like funding and management. But fortunately, through the Reddit streams, we got enough visibility through that a booking agent, Dan, approached us and signed us. And now we're working on touring when the world opens back up. Yay! But as far as like all the other stuff, yeah, we were independent for a long time, 4 years. So
that alone is like a big congrats, because so many people struggle with that, and you guys clearly are not. You're doing really well. And so, do you guys kind of split everything up, or each person kind of knows what hat they wear, or does like a few other certain people wear certain hats on different days?
yeah, they blend a bit. So I tend to deal with like the management side of things, but I'm also like pretty big in the songwriter sphere as well. Mike handles like social media, marketing, video editing, and generally anything visual is going through him. Adam is a lyricist extraordinaire and also does like all of our PR stuff. And he's also big with social media. He basically runs our Twitter with Barry, our bass player. So you can see it kind of like blends. Like people they usually have like their thing sort of, but they also do other things. Like John, for example, is like the musician extraordinaire in the band. You hand him anything and he can play or do it. He also does like our logistics when we're on tour. He'll book all the hotel rooms, make sure we're going to the right place, make sure everyone's in the van before we leave the gas station. That kind of stuff. And then of course Kyle is just anything audio. He's just absolutely killer.
That's awesome, and like props to you guys, because like I said, like none of that is easy work. Especially like specifically just because it's kind of my realm, like video editing, like all the visual stuff. Like holy shit, like you guys, like your last music video you put out for Out of Your Mind, Out of My Mind, like was it shot during COVID?
Yeah, that was shot
not
during COVID.
not that long ago actually.
Really?
Yeah, a few of us had gotten shots already, but not everybody.
How was that environment? Is that the first thing you guys have really done, like large scale ish, back since COVID?
Yeah, that's the first like official music video that we've done. That's the first piece of art that we've put out like without masks. Yeah, everything else has been masked up, distanced. Of course, that video was still like we were careful. Everybody, like we all are in the same network. And so we're all, washing hands and distancing when we do. And when we're not on camera, we put masks on and all that sort of stuff. But now everybody is like vaccinated here, which is great.
Absolutely minimal crew for that too. I mean, we literally had one camera person and a partner of one of ours who was there to get some behind the scenes, and that was it. So it really was just the six of us, the same way it is in the basement, plus one guy.
No, that's awesome. The visuals on that were really great. And I'm assuming that was shot locally.
Yeah, it was
it's
shot in Baltimore.
Wild
really?
place in Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally called the Graffiti
Warehouse.
Warehouse.
Yeah. The fun fact
Makes
about
sense.
that shooting date was the black ice that we had to traverse to load in that day. Where we all almost died every time we moved a piece of gear. Because it was like a snowstorm like 2 days before or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah, there was ice everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, I edited that one, so thank you.
Yeah, it was awesome. And something I love to see in bands is people who take pride in their visuals alone, and the aesthetic of bands, because that to me is something I look for when I'm looking at new artists, is like, do they care about just I mean, granted, like the whole thing is about the music, but like I love to see the visuals, and I love to have that extra sense being taken up by so you guys are really doing that well. And even with all of the live stream stuff, is how many cameras, and who's I have so many questions. Who's doing the switching? Like what type of light system are you using? Like it fascinates me, because you guys are really putting in so much effort, and like it's being noticed, and like it's really, really incredible.
Yeah, one of the most fun parts of making the music video for What You Want to Hear was like going back and seeing all the setup changes that have taken place in just like 6 months of the streams. And at that point, it was really like 3 months of the streams. Because that's how we made the videos. We just went back and we constructed old sets and like got our exact outfits and like put the drum pad where it's supposed to be. But yeah, the whole thing has taken. I mean, it's taken that long to evolve to where it is. So we started with the one camera angle. We realized that we could do like hotkey camera switching in OBS, or the OBS like emulator that Reddit makes you use, and started implementing that. Like put iPods up on tripods in the basement. We've experimented with putting one directly overhead mic while he's drumming, which was actually an iPad. You can see like loud and clear in the back of the frame, just like this big honking. And then the lights, we've had the lights for a long time now. We toured with them. They are actually synced to MIDI data, running out of a laptop into the lights. And so when we play most of the songs in our repertoire now have little light shows that Kyle has programmed into MIDI, and so they run synced to the metronome that we're playing to while the song is going, and that's like pretty tight. And then the Tube Men, we acquired the red one like many years ago. I think like 2016 or something. We got the red, which we call Wyatt, wacky, waving, inflatable. Arm flailing is one word, so it's just A, and then Tube Man, Wyatt. We got him like several years ago, and he's just traveled with us. He came on tour with us too. We set him up when the stage was big enough, and people like really latched onto that. The first couple streams were like, "Oh, let's just get another. Let's give him a friend." So it's all a lot of it has been user feedback of like, we want a drum cam, and so we're like, all right, let's make a drum cam. We want another tube guy. So it's been really fun to build that out.
I think you guys bought all of the neon lights from Target, and I'm upset. I went to go buy one, and I found them all in one of your basements, and it's kind of upsetting. I'll live without my flamingo, but I watched a couple of them, and first of all, whoever's basement this is runs by the rules. No one's wearing shoes in the house. Matt, you say no. Everyone's wearing socks. We're respectable guys here. No one wears.
Hey, it's carpeted.
It is carpeted. It's right behind me. There you go.
And it's like do you own, is it like your personal house?
I wish is the answer. But the real answer is my parents, which they graciously allow us to use. And truthfully, the answer to the question as to why we stream here, because people have asked us that a number of times, it's the actual only space we have access to that is big enough to hold 6 people and a drum set and a mixer and all the equipment necessary to run the stream. The only other places we've been able to like successfully run these streams are at legitimate music venues.
And still kind of just barely. Like it is precisely enough.
It's just
room.
big enough. Yeah. I don't know how much you can see, but it's like it's full. Like there's not any extra space.
So you're saying there is space for more wacky inflatable men, which always need. I'll go to my other Target and see if I can pick up any more neon lights. I got you.
Yeah, no, we went there too. Sorry.
Okay, so next time I'll have to drive another 20 minutes for another Target to get more. But the stream is incredible, and like the community you guys have built is, something not a lot of people can do. I mean, you guys have the Reddit community, you have a Discord, and you have a Patreon, and like not a lot of people can do that like successfully and like, keep getting people and, really follow along with it well. How do you guys do it? Like I like it's so much, and I applaud you guys so much for it.
I would say scheduling is a big part of it. So we have like weekly calls to keep ourselves accountable for what we want to do. It's also kind of built to this, is what I would say. It's not like we just one day it just would like happened. It's like everything is slowly kind of built to this over the past 4 years. The Patreon was something that we started because we wanted a community for people who really wanted to be connected to us. So that's kind of where that came from. And we had time because all of our plans blew up when COVID started. So that's where that came from. The Reddit streams came because we were doing Instagram live streams. We didn't really feel like we were reaching anyone new. So we just decided one day, hey, let's go live on Reddit. And then we were like, oh my God, why haven't we been doing that forever? And then that blew up. And I think a lot of things have come from that Reddit stream now, providing us with a bigger audience and us really doing the things we've always wanted to do, just to people who are actually seeing them. Because I think before, it was holding us back was like, oh, well, if we put out this content, is anyone even going to see it? And that was a big barrier, I think, for us.
Absolutely. I mean, alone, like, just on Reddit, and like you guys even have like a subreddit designated for you guys, and Twitter. And I'm a big like person on fans will make you or break you. And you can see that in so many other like 21 Pilots is one of my biggest, like, when I think about that as a Skeleton Click, like born and raised them, and then even at concerts there's this whole community. Like you could go alone and find people, and like I said, like I really applaud you guys for doing that, and really making that community available and like accessible and welcoming. And it's really hard to find people who actually do it and like actually genuinely care about it, as you guys seem to do.
Thank you. Really, that means a lot. Yeah, we try really hard to make our community positive and inclusive, and there's so many communities that aren't that way, and we have decided on purpose to bring warmth and positivity and just all of those things, just all of those like good vibes to our show and to our social media and to just our presence everywhere. So yeah, we really try hard to do that. So thank you.
Reflected in the kind of people that choose to be in like the Discord, for instance, are like just very generally very sweet and like creative and like interesting people. There's a whole like channel that is just for like art that people in the Discord have made, and that doesn't have to be related to us, and it's like incredible. Somebody made like custom glasses with our some album art of ours like carved into it. So now we all have those. We have like beer steins with our album art carved into them by just like somebody that we found on the internet or found us. There's people like knitting stuff. I don't know. It's amazing. And so and it's all just like very. It's like Michael said. It's like
Of course, yeah.
people who are very inclusive and just happy to be there, and that's nice to have.
That like it's truly, I won't shut up about like how incredible I think that is that you guys have such a great community. So kind of moving on to like your community and like in the future, obviously you want to, like everybody wants to do shows right now. Everybody, like, I want to go to shows, I want to see shows, like I'll go see the Wiggles like if they're the first band back. Like I really, like at this point I do not care. So you guys played Firefly in 2017, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
How was that? And like, thinking about your past shows, how are you going to take that and kind of make it the best shows back once we are safe and able and everybody's vaccinated and it's going to be a great time. But what are you guys planning on doing to like really escalate it?
So Firefly was funny. Firefly sort of inspired us to think about live shows in the first place. Because before that we were kind of just like dicking around. We would show up, we'd play the songs, and if you wanted to do something fun during a song, you would do it. You kind of freelance it, but like we didn't really think about it too much. We didn't think about what we were wearing on stage, and I think that kind of like all sort of consolidated our effort into like, oh, this is like important. There will be many people watching at the same time who don't know who we are, and so I think a lot of that sort of now you can see in the shows that we put on, and I'm really proud of our live shows. I think they're super fun and kind of over the top. And pretty well orchestrated. I am, can I curse on this show? I am, fucking dying to get back on stage. And I think all of us are. And I think one thing I'm looking forward to is like we were a lot smaller before the pandemic, and we might be playing for more people now, and so that's exciting. We've been, I think, one of the few sort of small artists that has actually grown their profile in the last year without the benefit of playing shows. And so that's been really gratifying. So I hope that turns into sort of bodies in rooms. But I don't know. We've always basically gone like 102% on stage. So I can't imagine that things will be much different now. It might be that one of us actually passes out, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of funny. I think me and Matt, like we were talking about it the other day. We were like, actually to your point, Allie, with like the previous topic too. Like we have this community of folks online who now know who we are, and like particularly Discord and Patreon and all of these and Reddit and all these platforms. There's no user profiles. Like we don't know who any of these people. We don't even know what they look like. We don't know where they live. Like, so it's going to be really funny to go out on tour and like meet somebody and like, oh my gosh, you're X person from Discord. Like, wow, hi.
Like,
Like that's
hey,
gonna be
I'm the
really,
guy
really
with the
fun.
lobster picture on Discord. Like, what's
Yeah,
up?
I'm really looking forward to that. That's gonna be fun.
Well, and I think even more recently than like the next time we go on tour, we have like our first in-person show since we started live streaming on Reddit, happening on May 22nd at Jam and Java. We're playing outdoors for like their Song in a Slice series that they do, which we booked like months ago. I think before any of this even happened. So it'll be really interesting. I know a ton of people from the Discord have already said they're coming out, so we're gonna get a taste of like what the difference is before like we started streaming to afterwards, even in just in the local area. Yeah, but it's also just going to be crazy to be like in person playing for humans in real life and seeing face reactions and hearing
I'm realizing
sounds
that
after.
we may have less of a live show hangover than other artists, just because it feels like we have been playing shows basically nonstop for 6 months now. They've just all been in the same venue to no one. But
Yeah, that's the difference.
but we have been playing shows, and we've been getting, whatever sort of alienating like online feedback that you can get on a phone. But so I think we're not gonna be rusty, but it is gonna be like exciting.
As somebody who's a big fan of music in general, like I'm gonna go crazy. Like physically, like if there's a pit somewhere, I'll probably jump in it. I wouldn't have done that before, but like at this point, I'll take it. But it's exciting, and like already tours are being planned. What do you guys like? What is your dream kind of lineup for a tour you guys are on or headlining?
Oh man, if I had to say someone headlining, it'd probably be either the 1975 or Walk the Moon. I know that's probably unlikely for us to tour with the 1975 ever, because they basically tour with like the 10 artists that they've signed, and then Phoebe Bridgers. And as far as like
for them now,
right? Yeah. As far as bands like outside of the 1975 sphere that we have a shot at touring with, I think Walk the Moon and a band Camino Bill would be just absolutely insane. I'd love to tour the Valley, Small Pulls, the list goes on. I could talk about this for hours.
Floor, Mr. Wives.
Yep.
Yeah. Both of those. Yeah.
What about you, Adam?
Echo all of that. I think a tour with Coin would be like off the charts cool. Although they're getting very vibey now. I don't know if we fit with them anymore, but as long as they still close with Talk Too Much, I think it's fine.
if Bleachers is around too, and they end up touring again, I think that would be we saw them at Firefly. They played the year that we were there. Mm-hmm. Wow, that show was just bananas, like so good.
And I'll throw one out. This is not like an artist that I think any of us particularly like listen to all the time, or like that we take a ton of inspiration from, but I think we probably have a lot of fan overlap and like overlap in interest with AJR. And those guys rock, and that would just be such a fun tour. I think the fan bases are probably very similar, so that would be a blast.
AJR, Half Alive, Sub Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There's a ring to it. There's a ring. All of those bands, incredible, and like I would love to see you guys with Coin, incredible live. They are one of my favorite bands to see live. Bleachers, same, and I was able to shoot Bleachers concert for a magazine, and that alone, like I wanted to throw up. I was like, it's so good. But listen, let me make some calls. let me push some buttons for Coin. Like I know a lot of Coin stands. We can push for at least that one. So I want a quick talk. So do you guys do music full time, or do you guys kind of by day do something and by night you just like rock and roll on Reddit to 4 million people?
Yes, to both. We're all in slightly different situations. We all left like jobs with 9-to-5 demands back in 2019 at the beginning of that year.
Great time to quit.
Yeah, right. And at that point, all of us have been working full time for like some years post college, and so we had built up some savings, and we could comfortably sort of do this experiment that we're doing. We do all still have to work for money because the band is not paying anyone right now. So guys are doing different things. I'm like delivery driving in the mornings. Like Barry works at a health clinic. I know other guys are doing sort of freelance stuff when they can. So we're piecing it together that way. But we are putting more hours into the band than we are other things now, which is not it was not the case before.
Yeah, we are full-time musicians and part-time making money.
Which, like, the grind is real in, like, any way, shape, or form, and again, that just makes you guys even more impressive because you're handling all of this through, also, having to do that too. So I posted a TikTok, whoever runs your social medias might have seen it, I posted on Instagram too, of, like, 3, indie pop bands you should listen to, whatever, and you guys were on it, and somebody commented and says, oh, somebody from that band was my Uber driver in, like, 2 years ago. And they showed me the band. And then she showed you, whoever it was, their, like, Hispanic music. And it was just a whole vibe. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. Because, like, it was, like, the most random interaction I ever expected. But it
That's ridiculous. That was me. I remember
Really?
this. I remember this. It was, like, 3 or 4 girls who must have been, like, 17. Like they were probably not supposed to be getting an Uber by themselves, but that's okay. And I was always on the lookout when I was doing that.
Oh no, the suspense!
Adam, fix your internet.
Oh no! This story just got way more suspenseful.
It got so good, yeah.
Is he coming
Adam
back?
Bradley, get Verizon.
Yeah. Verizon Fios. Come on.
Yeah. Oh, we might have like lost him.
Oh
Oh,
no.
there he is.
He's
Okay,
back.
Okay.
Hello.
My Wi-Fi just like shut down. Can't explain that. Sorry about that. But yeah, no, that was me. I remember that. That was very fun. I was always on the lookout when I was driving for like people who were the age that where I felt like I could recommend my band to them. Because I had like an aux cable that stretched throughout the whole car. I let them play whatever they wanted, but sometimes I'd be like, "Hey, you should look up this band called Silver Radio." So I'm glad that they still remember that, because that's pretty cool.
They're still a fan too, so it worked. It worked.
That's pretty sweet. I never knew if those had any lasting impact. So.
So now you know. Now. But I was like, what? Like, I was not expecting that at all, and I was just like, this is incredible. This is incredible. Do you guys want to play a game?
Let's do it.
Incredible.
I'm
I don't
down.
mean that in a creepy like Saw way. We're just gonna play a little game.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna give you guys the most specific scenarios, and you're just gonna tell me the first song that comes to your head. I'll give you mine first, so it gives you a little bit of time. But just first, it doesn't have to relate to it at all, but just like go for it. So the first one, you're given the aux at the 9:30 Club to choose pre-show music before a band with a very much older demographic. What song are you playing? So
Mr.
I went
Brightside.
with Only Angel by Harry Styles because it's like it's got that old flair to it, but like it's also something I want to listen to. Let's hear them.
I stand by Mr. Brightside, and because every time I go to the 9:30 Club, I hear Mr. Brightside before a show. So.
Solid.
Am I allowed to ask a clarifying question? When you say older, they're like my parents, or?
I'm
like boomers, or
I'm going like mid-60s plus.
Okay, I'm going with. I might be stealing this answer from Michael, but I'm going with September by Earth, Wind, and Fire. The ultimate classic, and a song that we play.
That's my favorite
Yeah.
song of all freaking time, like hands down. So I'm upset I didn't pick that one.
the first song that came to my mind was "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey.
Another good one.
That's only
You got to go to
second-
Everybody
Spotify.
singing.
Go to Spotify and pull up that playlist of like songs that white people go wild for.
Yeah. Next on the list would be Bohemian
Sweet
Rhapsody.
Caroline. Yeah, right.
Wow. So that one was pretty easy. Now the next one is you're taking the first casual flight into space, first class. It just rocket into the moon and back. what song are you playing? I went with Turbulence by Lil Jon, Stevie Aoki, and I think Laid Back Luke. Naturally.
That's awesome.
I think Rocket Man comes to mind by Elton John. But I think it's just the scenario that put me there.
I actually have a song that I play when I have like amazing experiences. Like when I go to cool places or when I do cool things. I don't think I've really told many people that I do this, but I always play the same song. And the song is Surprise Yourself by Jack Garrett. Like I played it when I saw the solar eclipse that passed over like a couple years ago. I like drove 15 hours to like go see the total eclipse. And like I played it then, and now anytime I do like a really cool, like amazing life thing, like I play that song. So I feel like if I was getting launched into space, like I'd be playing that song.
Heck yeah. That's an interesting one.
When I heard the prompt, I tried to think of like the prettiest song that I know, and because that seems like that would be appropriate. And I'm going with an ultra deep cut that I realize that nobody in this thing will have heard of. The band is called The Silent Years, which the boys have probably heard from me. It's the old band of one of the guys from Junior Junior. And they never got bigger than like playing basements. I don't know how I found them. I was just jumping around on iTunes in high school, but they have a song called On Our Way Home, which is like one of my favorite songs ever, and it just builds to this like unbelievable like coda at the end that has all of them like harmonizing, like scream harmonizing. And that would be the perfect like leaving the atmosphere like song. It'd be amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, like, let's book a flight right now. Put them up, we'll load them up on the queue for Spotify. We set. So this last one is you're at Thanksgiving dinner at either a friend, significant other's family's house. They tell you to put on the music. This is similar to the first one. What song are you playing? I said Break Free by Queen because it's, you know, post-turkey nap. Like, let's get it.
It's a good one. I am putting on the Spotify Motown Classics playlist because everybody loves that shit.
That's a good answer. I'm so bad at putting on music for other people. I never know what people want to listen to. But if I'm thinking my family, who the ones I usually visit for Thanksgiving, they're going to want to hear Country Roads no matter what time it is. So, Country Roads.
Solid. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. Whenever I am tasked with playing things from the aux cord, I just play like what I'm listening to currently. And I mean, I'm crushing the night game. So like I'd probably play I Feel Like Dancing by the Night Game. That'd be my first song.
All of these make really great playlists. Like put them all together. They'll I mean I'm imagining Mr. Brightside going into all these songs, and we'll just put
right
Mr.
into
Brightside
like
as the
Smokey
bridge.
Robinson. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys for playing and, you know, going along with that game. I originally played that as a card game. That's like it, but their scenarios were very bizarre. So I made it a little more family friendly in this way. But I have some Instagram questions if you guys are down for those. The first one is from Ashley. She says, "How did you come up with your name?"
Yeah. Do you guys want to say it or should I? It's embarrassing.
You got it. You are the
right.
guy.
I'll say it because it was my hand. We couldn't think of a band name, so we closed our eyes. We picked out a Best Buy ad, threw it on the table, and started pointing at words. And the two words that came up were sub and radio. And that was it.
We didn't want to be radio sub, so
Yeah.
I think the hyphen was in the sub as well, so that's why it was literally sub-radio. Otherwise, it would have been subspace radio.
Interesting. I mean, at least it wasn't in the dictionary. The dictionary could have gotten weird. At least you did with Best Buy.
Yeah. Well, we would have had to like flip through some pages too. Otherwise, you're gonna have some serious alliterations right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is, when did you guys know that you wanted to pursue music seriously? And that one is from Kelly Jacqueline.
I guess it depends on how you define seriously. I think like it was very fun to be in the band for a long time, like in high school and college and for a couple of years afterward. But largely it was like we have a show every couple of weeks and it's at a beer festival and like we play half covers and like maybe one day we'll release some stuff. And so that was like fun for a long time. I wouldn't say we were doing it seriously, but I think at that point I'd already decided like I like being in a band and I want to do it, even though like we weren't really doing it. So I mean I think for me it was the period where we like played a show with small pools at a couple of the guys' alma mater JMU in Harrisonburg, and then like 4 months later we played at Firefly, and that all happened. So that all happened in like like a span of 6 months or so, and it was just like, oh, we could be doing this. Like we just played for like, you know, hundreds, maybe thousands of people who don't know us, and there was generally a positive reception. Like we could continue doing that if we put some more effort into it. And so I think that was it's not really a moment, but that was like the moment for me.
Absolutely. You guys are kind of on the same page on that one?
Yeah, pretty much. I think when we started in high school, it was always I wanted to do music in one way, shape, or form as soon as I started like writing songs. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I don't know if it would be the band or through something else. So I always like wanted to do it, but it was, yeah, kind of like what Adam was saying. It was more like a dream at first that then became something that seemed more plausible after those two events happened. There was like, now we have a reason to take it seriously. It's like we have people watching us. That's awesome. And without like moving to New York or moving to California, which are just incredibly huge, life-changing, defining moments that you have to like force upon yourself, which I think was something that always held us back for a while, was there's so many guys and trying to take an entire project and, you know, surgically remove it and implant it somewhere else is extremely hard. When there's 6 lives versus like, you know, some bands are really just 2 guys, you know? So we never really had that luxury of just being able to like pick up and go. You know, we have a lot of people to think about. So yeah, once it became, you know, once it made more sense and we had more eyes, I think we were all just like, why not? You know, like we could do something boring, sit at a 9 to 5 that we kind of like for forever. Or we could like do this thing that we really love doing for a really long time and have a real go at it. And that's what the past like 3 years have been.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mine was actually much earlier. Adam and Matt are like very practical people. They're like good planners. I'm not very practical at all. I'm just like, I want to do this thing. And then I don't think about how to do it at all, but I just like kind of go. But I remember the first time I was like, oh yeah, this band is really serious and I want to do this. The first time I felt that was actually our very first recording ever in a studio. I was like, this is the sickest thing I've ever heard. We recorded this song called Playing with Matches. And I remember I was in my basement when we got the first mix back. I was in my parents' basement with one of my friends from the neighborhood. And we both turned on or I was like, do you want to listen to this? I don't know what it's going to sound like. Do you want to listen to it? He was like, yeah, I want to listen. I was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And turned the song on. And I remember being like, what? This is my band. Like, what? Like, this is awesome. And the song quality was, I didn't know what was good or what was bad, but like, to me, it was just unbelievable that like we were coming out of the speakers. Like, that was so cool. And that was before, you know, iPhones and everybody can just like, you know, put anything out anytime. Like, it was really hard to record music back then. Really wasn't that long ago. Like, all this stuff on the internet is super new. But yeah, I remember at the time, like, yeah, this is something that I want to do.
That's awesome.
It felt so cool when we went back into high school after recording that.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember like that was a big shot in the arm. Like, yeah. That was awesome.
We're just walking around with the CD and just like dropping, like put in lockers and.
I mean, yeah, like we kind of did that.
I had my iPod and I would take it around to like different people in the school and be like, listen to this. What you think?
Yeah,
it's
like,
cool,
this is my
right?
band.
Yeah.
Just like run the halls.
It wasn't very good, no, looking back. But
actually,
Hey,
the
I
one
still
song,
like that song.
I was gonna say the song that you brought up is pretty good, but
That's true.
there's a lot of misses on that album that followed that wasn't really released.
That is very true.
Well, I have one last question for you guys. It's kind of a larger scale question. So musicians, artists have the ability to kind of have this platform and the ability to leave a mark in bigger ways and smaller ways. Is there something you specifically like want to do as a band to leave a mark on the world?
Wow.
I know.
It's a good question.
That is it's an interesting way of thinking about it. I think and I certainly I want people to like hear the music and maybe hear themselves in it and like take, joy or comfort or whatever emotion is in the song like from it. That's almost like a small scale thing though, because anybody can do that. Um, I guess like we've always had things that we personally care about. Like we are all pretty interested in not destroying the climate. That's a thing that we care about. And so we've tried to implement some stuff in our touring that sort of addresses that, like reusable stuff and avoiding a lot of plastic and things like that. We are also just generally big LGBT advocates. And that's been a cause that we've sort of adopted over the last few years as like I have come out as bi to a lot of people. And also just like we noticed that the fan base of our genre and our band is disproportionately queer and trans kids. And that's because music is really important for people who don't maybe have other outlets where they're accepted. And so looking out for them is really important to us. And so that's a thing that I think we can sort of say is maybe a higher level goal than like making $1 million.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, uh, there's lots of problems in the world, right? And I think it's really easy to look at a lot of the big problems like poverty and hunger and, like unrest and like, wow, that problem is like so huge. Like, what on earth could you possibly do? And like people have been talking about world peace for like how long? And it's like, what does that even mean? Like, what does world peace even look like? But it's like a lot of that stuff, like specifically like peace. I think it like if you look at the world, it's like almost a little bit too big. Like world peace is the same thing as like community peace, but like every community is peaceful. And that's a big part of the reason, at least for me, I don't want to speak for everybody, but a big part of the reason why I think it's so cool that we make the music that we make with the vibe that we have and the positivity that we share is
That
because
would
it
still
makes
be
people
nice
feel
though.
good. And when people are feeling good, people are better to each other. That's something that I've noticed, and that's something that I think is really important. Um, and when you share that, when you spread that, people in their own little networks start to become better to each other. And that's really how you get this like large scale, like sustainable change rather than like a big, like from the top, like I'm going to implement like policy, like from the top down, like it's really like from the bottom up that culture changes. Um, and so when we make it a mission to spread positivity and warmth, and we're all men, but we're not like we're 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 trying to like we're not super masculine and like all this stuff like rah rah rah. But like we try to be really inclusive and like everybody should be able to be who they want to be in the way that they want to express themselves. They should be feel empowered to do that. And so we feel like that's really important, and we try really hard to get that message across.
Yes, our manifesto will be published this year and in paperback in your local anarchist bookstore.
Matt, do you want to add anything to that?
Man, how could I? It's pretty full answer. I would echo what both those guys said. Yeah, inclusivity, trying to make as many people who come to our shows feel like they have a home. And I know a lot of people on our Discord have reached out to us, which is pretty amazing. I had some truly incredible stories of people who were just, they thought that, it was just, life was meaningless and it was over for them, and they didn't know what to do. They wake up every day being miserable. I can't tell you the amount of people who've had to reach out to us say, I can't tell you how much your Reddit streams help me just live my life. And that means a lot to us when we get those messages. because a lot of
Yeah,
those people are our friends now. So
the last few
really
months
important.
have been really like I think like eye-opening, like how bad this year has been for people, even if they weren't even, you know, they didn't end up in a hospital, nobody they knew did, but just like living in the world the way that it is very just alienating and scary right now. And so it's been really I think rewarding for us to see that like what we're doing is making an impact on people, because yeah, those DMs come in all the time.
Wow, I don't even want to talk after that, because that was incredible. And thank you guys so much for coming on here, talking about the band, talking about you guys and your impact that you want to leave. Hopefully it was an all access pass to someone's new favorite artist. Sub Radio, thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you so much for having us.
Yeah.